Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and if you're watching this the day it came out, it is November 18th, 2015, which means it is the third birthday of the Wii U. Now last year I did a series basically on the second birthday of the Wii U, along with the first birthday of the PS4 and the first birthday of the Xbox One. Believe it or not, it's been a year since then, and you guys wanted updates. So I've already done the 2-year birthday of the PS4. Obviously we're doing the 3-year birthday of the Wii U now, and then we'll do the 2-year birthday of the Xbox One on November 22nd. So we're just going in calendar order. Now at the time, all I did was talk about what the last year had been like, some of the sales of consoles, economics of things, and predictions, and of course, talking about some of the games, etc. Now when I did that last year, far and away the most popular video was the Wii U video, and as a lot of people described in the comments, at least according to your own words, the reason I'm guessing that happened is I wore my heart on my sleeve. I was essentially irritated with Nintendo for making such an amazing video game console that they just can't convince people to buy. That's fundamentally the problem. I love the Wii U, which I never expected to be the case because I hated the original Wii so much. But this console is phenomenal. It really is my favorite one in this generation. Even though it's not my console of choice, I've already been over that in the PS4 video, but it is my favorite one this time around. I've had the most genuinely fun and exciting and exclusive experiences on it, and it's just, I love it. But what kills me is Nintendo just doesn't seem to know how to present it to people. So last year, I gave them some advice, which I even said in the video they won't do. Like, not only because they won't see it, but even if they thought of it, they probably still wouldn't do it. Fundamentally, my point was that they needed to make the console cheaper. They needed to accept that they weren't going to win the generation, and they needed to get it in homes so that they could amp people up for the next generation. Basically make people go, oh right, Nintendo is awesome. I should buy Nintendo things. That way when what we now know to be Project NX comes along, people are like, right, Nintendo, that's good, they are good, I want to keep buying their products. My basic suggestion for that was to drop the gamepad, just because it's an expensive peripheral. It isn't always necessary. Of course, there's some games that require it, yes, but I'm not even going to go into that anymore. I explained that all last year. They didn't do it, and it's now, frankly, too late to do it. So let's give you some historical precedents here. First, we need to understand that the Nintendo Wii U has only just recently reached the 10 million units sold mark. To put that in perspective, the PlayStation 4 has already sold 30 million units and is a year younger. The Xbox One has also done this quite some time ago. The Dreamcast, my favorite console of all time, a console which most people consider the reason Sega died, which is grossly grossly inaccurate, but we don't need to go into all that. Point is, that console sold that many units in a year and a half. Half the time that it took the Wii U to do it. Now, assuming you're going to make another console after you make a dud console, you have two choices. Now, the first choice is from, let's use company A, which will be Sony. Now, when Sony released the PlayStation 3, initially it was a disaster. Okay, it was a very expensive console to produce. It cost about $900 to build those original units. They sold them for $600, which was still too much money for people to actually want to buy it. Long and the short of it is, they removed a ton of features, they found ways to cheapen it, strip it down, and then they focused more on games, as opposed to being arrogant about how, oh, we were so successful with PS1 and 2, of course people are going to buy PS3. They basically became very humble. Now, they never really made any money with that console, but they did do an awesome thing, which was they amped people up for PS4. Hence, a large part of the reason it is successful now. Nintendo had a very similar story with the Wii. It was so successful, then they fucked up with the Wii U, etc. They could have followed the PS3 model, which was to everything I've already said. Instead, they didn't do that. And they're not doing that. They're not trying to amp people up for NX by making people buy a Wii U and realizing how awesome it is, and that you're always going to get an awesome Nintendo experience no matter what Nintendo machine you buy. They're not doing that. Instead, they're using a different historical precedence. So let's go into that. In 1997, then president of Sega, Bernie Stolar, said one of the stupidest things ever uttered in video game history when asked, what's up with the future of Sega? What are you guys working on? What's so exciting you guys are doing? He replied by saying, Saturn is not our future. In essence, he was telling the world that only 2 years after the Saturn had come out in North America and Europe, 3 if you include the Japanese release, that Sega was essentially giving up on the Saturn. Now, what happened after that? So the late 97, Sega more or less stopped doing anything with the Saturn in North America and Europe. And almost all of 1998, Sega basically didn't have a console. And then they spent the better part of 1999 in the West just amping people up by saying, Dreamcast is coming. Remember the Genesis or Mega Drive? Remember how much fun that Sega experience was? You can have that again with the Dreamcast. Sweeping the Saturn under the rug, almost out of memory completely for most people, along with the 32X and the Sega CD to a lesser extent. That was their game plan, which is, we'll make them forget about the bad ones, and we'll just have them remember the good one. And I love those consoles, don't get me wrong, but that was just the mental process they were going through. Now let's look at recent events by Nintendo. Earlier in 2015, the late Satoru Iwata was giving a speech about how Nintendo intends to make mobile games for cell phones, etc. And he was smart enough to understand that when you say something like that, people will inevitably think, oh god, Nintendo's going to give up on hardware, they're not going to make consoles and stuff anymore. Oh no, oh no. So at the same time, he also said, but wait, don't worry, we're also working on this thing called Project NX, which is like our new platform. And that's really all he would say on the matter. In essence, he had said, Wii U is not our future. He had the same moment, almost the exact same amount of time after the console's launch that Bernie Stolar said his shit after the Saturn had come out. So then we all kept scratching our head being like, well, why are we going to buy a Wii U? You guys are already working on the next one. What's the point of that? Now we know more information about Project NX, granted not a whole lot, and we now have reason to believe, as I do, that it's probably going to launch in November of 2016. It's entirely possible 1 year from now, I'll be sitting here unboxing one of those things, provided it uses physical media. So it seems like their plan, along with other pieces of evidence that we'll go through, is to repeat what Sega did, which is to more or less bury the Wii U and just kind of give a couple of sparse releases as they go until they try to, be like, hey, remember the SNES or N64? Maybe that'll be their game plan. And they'll just talk about how great NX will be because it's like the old Nintendo experience. We realized the mistakes we made over the last couple of generations. We're ready to move on. I don't know. We'll see exactly what their marketing blast is going to be like. But damn, it sounds so damn similar. So recently I watched Nintendo's Direct show, which on November 12th. Nintendo Direct is like these mini little E3 presentations that Nintendo does all the time. This was the first one they'd done in a while, especially because of the passing of Satoru Iwata. And if you watch that, and after you get rid of all the stuff that's about their handhelds, which obviously they focus a lot on because they make a lot of money from those, they and you filter it down to just Wii U games. I mean, including getting rid of things like Cloud coming to Smash, which is that's cool. But once you talk about just the new upcoming Wii U games they have planned, there was only one game in there that we didn't really know anything about, which was Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, which is a 10-year-old game. Like that game came out of the GameCube and the Wii. They were essentially just upgrading it. Unfortunately, what that tells us is more evidence that the next year of 2016 for the Wii U is going to be pretty sparse. If you look at all the games that are coming up, they're either games we've known about for quite some time or games that frankly aren't that exciting. For example, Mario Tennis is coming up. Like, we've known about it, and I don't think a whole lot of us are like, holy shit, I can't wait. Maybe there are some, but whatever. If you look at the holiday season, one of their big games that was supposed to happen was Star Fox Zero, which has now been pushed to the spring, probably in an effort to kind of mask the drought that will exist in that time frame. So instead, this holiday season, I think the only game they're really going to be pushing for the Wii U is Xenoblade Chronicles. At the height of the year, when most people are willing to open their wallets, November and December, they have essentially one game they're going to be pushing. I really think they're just kind of spacing things out to buy themselves some time for NX and make you more or less forget about the Wii U. It really does seem like the direction they're going. And it sucks! That sucks ass because the Wii U is fucking awesome. But yeah, man, I mean, like, again, you can go back and look at that presentation. It's really nothing but just games that we already knew about. Like, since E3, really. And that one game, of course, Twilight Princess HD, yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, but essentially, what is that? It's just an HD upgrade of a game that's existed for 10 years. And don't be surprised if we see more stuff like that along the way. So, my prediction, unfortunately, for the Wii U in 2016 is really that it's just going to kind of grind to a halt. You'll probably still have fun games, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Star Fox Zero will be bad or anything like that. It's just that it's going to be sparse, and that kills me because I love the Wii U and I'd love to be able to tell you guys, like, go buy one, it's great, like, there's going to be so many good things coming out to it. But I can't do that. I can tell you it's great. I can tell you it's fun. I can tell you it has an awesome library. I can do all that. but I can't tell you it has a long future ahead of it, because frankly, I don't think it really does. I really think the final releases for this platform will come out in spring of 2017, likely be Disney Infinity and Skylanders and maybe an extra Lego game or something, because WB Games has always been nice about that. But maybe a Just Dance game or something at that point. I really think that's kind of where it ends for the Wii U. So we'll see. Maybe we'll fast forward in a year and I'll be completely wrong and we'll laugh about how wrong I was. I don't know, but I think that's unfortunately the direction they're going. That's just continued evidence of it keeps piling on every day. Now, I kind of get why they're doing it though, because like I said, the Wii U is selling like terribly, just awful performance, and it's a shame, because I really feel that in a few years people are going to look back on the Wii U and they're going to be like, that was an amazing platform. Why the hell didn't we support that? It's kind of like the Dreamcast or the Saturn. People look back on at the time, people are like, oh god, I don't want anything to do with it after a certain point. And then they look back and go, holy shit, there was a really good library of games on there. That was really fun. And then collectors go nuts because the library collection isn't that big, so it's actually attainable. But of course it was hard to find the games at the time, and you know. So I think we're at an interesting point in time right now where I might actually tell you, if you don't own a Wii U, you might want to wait to buy the console, because they're still relevant enough that they're expensive. They're still in like the $300 range, but a lot of the games are in clearance bins right now. So you might want to pick up games even though you don't own the console, and then they get the console later. That's just a suggestion if you think you'll be interested in the Wii U in the long run, but that's up to you. So as a result, people like me, collectors, etc., have gone after a lot of Wii U games. I've got a nice collection of them going now. So let's talk about a few of those games that have come out over the course of the last year. Of course, this is not all of them, and also, of course, doesn't include games that came out in the 2 previous years. This is just a couple of examples that I wanted to note for one reason or another. So let's put down the gamepad, and you can see some of them right there. Now, first one I want to talk about is Project Zero Maiden of Blackwater. Now, I just did a video unboxing this. This game has such a stupid release. Okay, so this was released, you might know this as, in North America as Fatal Frame 5. Now, this got a physical release in Japan, a digital-only release in North America, and Europe managed to get both. Primarily, it was distributed digitally. However, there were collector's editions of the game that were sold physically, only in the collector's edition. So, fortunately, I got friends all around the world, and I contacted my buddy Ben, aka Shen Muso, who lives in the UK, and I said, like, this game's coming up, would you mind pre-ordering it for me? I, of course, paid him for the game and everything, and he was cool enough to do that and ship it over, so thank you again for the effort in doing that. So I was able to get the game. Unfortunately, the Wii U is region-coded still, so I can't actually use it. I'm hoping as a parting gift, Nintendo unlocks the region coding in this thing, though I find that very unlikely. The only time that they even talked about that was at one point Satoru Iwata himself was asked about it, and he was like, oh, we're looking into it. But of course, he's no longer around to even ask on the subject, so I have no reason to think they'll actually drop it. So maybe eventually I'll import a European Wii U or something, but I don't know yet. Nevertheless, it's still very cool to have simply as a collector's piece, even though I can't play it currently. Legend of K Anniversary, of course, was a HD re-release of a few, I believe they were PS2 games originally. Very surprising this game actually came out, because it's clearly a budget release. It has a white case. Like, I didn't do this. Like, this was how it was released stock in North America. I know Europe got the actual blue case. I know that this game was hard to find to a certain extent. Like, most retailers were not selling it in stores. I think GameStop might have been the only one. Most of them you could buy it online. Like, I bought it on Best Buy's website, but most of them wouldn't carry it in the store. So it could eventually be a pretty obscure and difficult release to find, but we'll see. Nevertheless, it's cool that it actually made it out. Another third-party title that I'm amazed came out, sort of, is Shovel Knight. Of course, it was really exciting when Shovel Knight in general was announced to get a physical release, because it's a really good game, and of course has been stuck in the digital realm for quite some time, which was always kind of odd to people like me, because of course Shovel Knight's whole basic idea was we're going to throw back to the classics, we're going back to old school, you can have this old school game that kicks ass, blah, 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 but you were always missing the obvious, which was that you didn't have anything physical, which is a huge part of what makes retro interesting. So they eventually, of course, capitalized on that by releasing a physical version for both PS4 and Wii U. Interestingly, there's no Xbox One version, and that's the same with Legend of K. PS4 and Wii U, the Xbox One version was canceled. I'm not really sure why, but in both cases it was. I think the only thing that saved the Wii U version is the fact that there's an amiibo coming up, so that kind of helps the ability to sell the game. It'd be odd to not release a physical version of this game on the Wii U when you have the amiibo coming. But it's awesome because it definitely feels very at home on the Wii U, and on top of that, I think it might be the only third-party title with a full color manual on the Wii U, because it's the thick instruction manual, man, full color. I know some of the actual Nintendo first-party games have that, but I think this might be the only third-party one that does. Highly recommend it if you have a Wii U. This game was so disappointing. Rodea the Sky Soldier. Now, the reason this was disappointing, first you have to understand that this game went through development hell. It was originally supposed to be released on the original Wii in 2011 and was canceled. It was actually created by Yuji Naka, the guy who created Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm not sure what force resurrected it, but they were able to finally complete it and release it. It was supposed to be this big third-party exclusive Wii U game, kind of a holdover from, I think, the earlier Wii U days. Now, when they released it, one thing they did that was really cool was that they included 2 instruction manuals. One that is for the Wii U version, and of course the Wii version. Also includes an actual Wii disc, as well as the artwork is actually reversible, so you have the cover for both the Wii and the Wii U version. Now, someone who doesn't really enjoy the Wii, that doesn't matter a whole lot to me, but the part that kills me is that, according to even Yuji Naka himself, who has been very public about this all over social media, he keeps telling people, don't play the Wii U version, play the Wii version. The Wii version is what we intended, that's what I intended, this version is not. Now, the Wii U version apparently is just a port from the 3DS version, which kind of, I mean, I don't know why that was done, but that's very disappointing to hear that essentially what was supposed to be this big third-party Wii U exclusive ultimately ends up being the last worthwhile Wii game. Not actually the last Wii game, though, and a lot of people have falsely credited that. There are other Wii games still coming out, believe it or not, but this is probably the only one that's worth a damn. Now on to some first-party games, because of course that's what the Wii U's best at, is the Nintendo titles. Because it frankly doesn't get any real third-party support, and probably will have even less over the course of this year, but we will see on that. So first up, Mario Party 10. Honestly, I don't really care about Mario Party. I've never really cared about any of them. I really only got this to support Nintendo, and unfortunately, from what I've heard, even from people who really love Mario Party, this one was kind of lackluster. Probably going to be the only Mario Party game that does appear on the Wii U. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. I was kind of disappointed by this because I was expecting more of a traditional Kirby platformer type of game. It's not a bad game. It's just that it doesn't really do what I wanted. You know, it's obviously very dependent on the gamepad. It wants you to draw things and have Kirby kind of follow those things in the platforming type of way. I didn't really want that. But, you know, I give him credit for trying to be more unique and original and, of course, use the gamepad in a creative way. It's just that, I don't know, I just didn't enjoy it as much. Something that was a little bit closer to what I guess I did want was Yoshi's Woolly World. I haven't played this a whole lot, but I have enjoyed this a lot more than I did Kirby's, with the amount of time I have played it. But, yeah, this is probably worthwhile to pick up eventually. I don't know if it's necessarily worth the full retail price, though. Now, the big one that came out that a lot of people went nuts for was Splatoon. Now, Splatoon is a really fun game. It's basically Gears of War for kids. It has a lot of good online support. Nintendo, it really just shocked the world with this one because they basically created a new IP and were actually able to make it successful. You know, they were actually able to sell a lot of units with this thing, comparative to what they've been doing anyway. And it just shows that there are so many good, smart people at Nintendo that know how to make really fun, awesome games, but they just have such a problem presenting it to people, to show people, like, this is how awesome our game console is. It's just so infuriating. But I mean, this game still gets a lot of good support. If you watch the Nintendo Direct, there's a lot of upcoming, I guess, I don't know if it's free or not, but there's a lot of DLC coming in this game, etc. So that's cool. And then finally, the one that really is my favorite of all the Nintendo stuff anyway, Super Mario Maker. This is phenomenal. This is a game, if you love the original Mario type of games, the traditional 2D style ones, you know, Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers, of course, New Super Mario Brothers, etc. What essentially this is those games infinitely. Because you can make levels in any of those designs, of those styles, and you can replay them yourself, or you can upload them and let other people play them. Of course, you can play other people's levels. Essentially, you have infinite fucking Mario games in this game. And that's really cool. Not only is that fun, but this is where it kills me. It just kills me to see Nintendo's gross incompetence. I say this without without trying to be hyperbolic. I do think this was Nintendo's last chance to save the Wii U. I really think they actually could have turned it around with this game. Well, it was released, and they didn't turn it around. So what happened? This game could have dominated YouTube in a way not seen since Minecraft. Okay, so like I said, the whole basis is you create your own levels and let other people play them. Imagine it. Just imagine. People buy, they play this game, they're like, oh, I'm going to put my, games up on YouTube, I'm going to let people see my levels, and then I'll put like a link in the description to say like where you can download it or what you need to do for that, etc. People go, holy shit, that looks like a lot of fun. Mario is, of course, the most established video game character there is. People will be like, wow, all right, I want to check out this guy's level, so I guess I need to go buy a Wii U and I need to buy this game. Infinite fucking free advertising all around. But what stopped that? Nintendo's ridiculous anti-YouTube policies. If you're not familiar, Nintendo and YouTube don't exactly get along. Nintendo really goes after people who play their games. They'll put up copyright strikes, they'll put up content ID claims, they'll have videos taken down. You can join their network to do this. However, their network, I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but their network is horrific, so most people don't want to join it. It also doesn't actually protect you from most of their games anyway, which is ridiculous. If Nintendo simply allowed people to play this game on YouTube, they might have actually turned this shit around. I'm serious. They might have actually been able to be like, you might have actually had enough people go, holy fuck, I can't not play that. I need that. Where can I get it? Only the Wii U. Alright, guess I'm buying a fucking Wii U, because this game is amazing. And it's just, it's fucking tailor-made for YouTube. Yet they just can't wrap their minds around it. That's the part that kills me. You have so many smart, talented people that were able to make this product, but at the same time, you have people who don't understand the value of free advertising. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell to tell you at this point, man. I still maintain, next year you'll probably have a lot of fun times, a lot of good games will probably come out, but they're probably going to be increasingly spaced up, and I still think they're going to throw it under the rug, man. I think unfortunately that's his destiny. I don't think there's any real saving it at this point. I think it's just inevitable. So let's just enjoy the ride while it still lasts. I mean, if I were to give them some advice right now, I'd say change your YouTube policies and re-push Super Mario Maker. You can do this. That could happen, but it might be even too late for that. So we'll see. But yeah, I guess that's it for now. Stay tuned to, I believe in November 22nd, I said, the Xbox One video will be coming out. And thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you checked out the PS4 video. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you all later.